please subscribe to our channel. In Japanese, anime simply means animation. But anime also refers to that singular brand of animation made famous by Japan, and over the past couple of decades, it's taken the world by storm. For the uninitiated, however, knowing where to start can be daunting. There's just so much out there, and it spans pretty much every conceivable style and genre. So, these are 13 anime to watch on Netflix. Number 13. Uku, the Inner Chambers. What if a disease that only affected men spread through the population, making women the dominant half of society? And what if this happened in feudal Japan? That's the premise that kicks off Uku, the Inner Chambers, which is based on the popular manga by Fumi Yoshinaga. The Uku of the title refers to the inner chambers of real-life Edo, now Tokyo, castle where women with a connection to the shogun lived. The chambers had their own intricate set of rules, and the women were unable to interact with the outside world or have relationships with men. In the series, of course, the tables are turned, and the inhabitants of the Uku are men who must serve the female shogun. The series is full of palace intrigue, forbidden romance, and rituals, think The Crown, but in an alternate universe feudal Japan. If that doesn't sell the series for you, also know it features a soundtrack by Ghost in the Shell composer Kenji Kawai. Number 12. One Piece. The manga-turned-anime One Piece hardly needs an introduction. It's one of Japan's most famous franchises, and currently holds the Guinness World Record for the most copies published for the same comic book series by a single author, that author being One Piece mastermind Eiichiro Oda. The long-running, and we mean it, there are more than 1,000 episodes, series centers around Monkey D. Luffy, a boy whose dream is to become the king of the pirates. All he has to do is collect the world's ultimate treasure, the titular One Piece. Considering how long the series has been going, easier said than done. Along the way, he assembles a crew of fellow pirates who encounter new friends and foes on the high seas. Come for the charming character designs and fun setting, stick around for the epic world building and massive scale of the whole endeavor. Number 11. My Happy Marriage. Set in the 1800s, when Japan was working to modernize itself, My Happy Marriage centers around Mayo, a Cinderella-like character who was mistreated by her father, stepmother, and sister, because in the world of My Happy Marriage, being born without supernatural powers, like Mayo, makes you a target of contempt. When she comes of age, Mayo finally has the chance to escape her household by getting married, but there's a catch. She's betrothed to a soldier infamous for scaring away potential wives with his cruel behavior. With its combination of historical setting, fantasy elements, romance and lush animation by Studio Kinema Citrus, My Happy Marriage has been making waves. Just don't forget the tissues. Number 10. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Just how bizarre is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? The anime is adapted from a manga by legend Hirohiko Araki that began as a fairly conventional action-adventure and, over the years, transformed into an over-the-top romp in which characters strike impossible poses, don wildly creative outfits, and wield powers named after Araki's favorite rock bands. The series spans several generations of the Joestar family and their perpetual antagonist, Dio Brando, and takes us from Egypt to Japan to Italy to, in the latest installment, a prison in Florida. That latest season, Stone Ocean, is the first to feature a female Joestar, Jolene, who might just be one of the coolest women to appear in anime, like, ever. Number 9. Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead. We've all got things we want to get done before we kick the proverbial bucket, but it can be hard to get motivated and break out of the day-to-day rut. That's certainly the case for 24-year-old office worker Akira Tendo, but what finally gets him to wake up and experience life to the fullest isn't an inspirational talk or self-help book, but a bona fide zombie apocalypse. Based on the hit manga by Haru Aso, Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead combines zombie horror with humor in the style of Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland for a fun and occasionally harrowing romp through zombie apocalypse-ified Tokyo. Thrills abound as Akira and his pals check off increasingly dangerous items on their bucket list while learning important life lessons and fending off zombies along the way. Number 8. Junji Ito Maniac, Japanese Tales of the Macabre. For decades, the soft-spoken dental technician turned manga creator Junji Ito has been considered the Japanese king of horror stories, but for whatever reason, there haven't been many anime adaptations of his work. That sad state of affairs has been rectified by Junji Ito Maniac, Japanese Tales of the Macabre, a new series adapting several short stories by Ito. Included are some of his most iconic characters, like the beautiful but deadly Tomi and the creepy but charming boy wonder Suchi. Since each episode is a different story, it's easy to pop in and out, and the tone of each tale offers something new, from pure terror to tongue-in-cheek fun. For a good example of Ito's wonderfully bizarre sense of humor, head to the episode The Story of the Mysterious Tunnel/Ice Cream Bus. You'll never look at the ice cream man the same way again. Number 7. Komi can't communicate. It's Komi's first year of high school, and her goal is to make 100 friends. There's only one problem: she's painfully shy. Unable to utter a single word, Komi resigns herself to suffering in silence until she meets Tadano, a good-hearted classmate who makes it his goal to help Komi break out of her shell and bond with her fellow students. Meanwhile, the connection between Komi and Tadano grows stronger, and it soon seems they may take the step from friendship to something more. Komi can't communicate deals with serious topics like social anxiety and societal expectations, but in a way that'll have you laughing out loud, and, yes, reaching for the occasional tissue. An eclectic cast of side characters keeps things fresh and proves that in the end, we're all a little weird, and that's a great thing. Number 6. Vampire in the Garden. A 5-part original from the mind of Ryotaro Makihara, Vampire in the Garden takes place in a world in which vampires and humans are at war. To maintain their war footing, humans have abandoned music, art and all other distractions, while the vampires maintain a rich culture full of beauty. Within this upside-down world, an unlikely friendship emerges between a human and a vampire who embark on a journey to find a more peaceful existence. Aside from its compelling storyline, Vampire in the Garden offers rich visuals courtesy of Wit Studio and veteran character designer and animation director Tetsuya Nishio. Its 5-episode length makes it easy to pick up, and likely to whet your appetite for more. Number 5. Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Legendary anime studio Trigger and director Hiroyuki Imaishi, Promar, crank their hyperkinetic style to 11 in Cyberpunk Edgerunners, set in the world of the popular video game Cyberpunk 2077. In a dystopian future, a young man with the power to manipulate time falls in with a band of misfit hackers. What could go wrong? Well, pretty much everything. The phrase video game adaptation can tend to set off alarm bells, but Imaishi and company have pulled off a pitch-perfect series with Edgerunners, working closely with the team behind the game to get the lore right but changing things up to suit their animated medium. The result is a rollicking thrill ride that feels equal parts cyberpunk and Trigger. Number 4. Neon Genesis Evangelion. When it hit Japanese airwaves in 1995, Neon Genesis Evangelion quickly became a certified phenomenon. Almost 30 years later, the series and its spin-offs, reboots, and sequels still have a firm hold on the imaginations of viewers in Japan and around the world. Evangelion takes place in a future Japan where the series' teenage protagonists must pilot giant robots to defend the world against mysterious alien invaders called angels. Giant robots had been a staple of anime for decades, but Evangelion creator Hideaki Anno combined the trappings of the genre with deep psychological themes that helped give the show its lasting impact. And let's not forget that opening theme song, which still routinely dominates Japan's karaoke charts all these years later. Number 3. Record of Ragnarok. Once every 1,000 years, a council of gods, Greek, Shinto, Norse, you name it, they're all there, get together and decide whether mankind deserves to continue. This time, they agree to pull the plug, but they give humanity a final shot to defend itself from destruction in a tournament called the Ragnarok. With this premise begins Record of Ragnarok, which pits gods against famous humans from history. Matchups include Zeus versus Adam and Hercules versus Jack the Ripper, for fights that are in turn laugh-out-loud funny and edge-of-your-seat epic. The irreverent take on mythology is a treat, as are the arbiters of the tournament, the Valkyries, who supply humanity with enough firepower to stand a fighting chance. Number 2. Beastars. In this series, anthropomorphized animals attend an elite high school together, but distrust starts brewing between the carnivores and herbivores after the mysterious murder of an innocent alpaca. It's up to a socially awkward gray wolf to help solve the crime, all while navigating his complex feelings toward a dwarf rabbit who he can't decide if he wants to date or eat. Being a teen wolf ain't easy. Based on a hit manga, Beastars features computer-generated animation from the top-class Studio Orange, also known for Land of the Lustrous and Godzilla Singular Point, that changed many people's minds about just how good CG anime could look. The third and final season is due out in 2024. Number 1. Children of the Sea. For a purely visual spectacle, it's hard to beat Children of the Sea, the 2019 adaptation of the manga of the same name by Daisuke Igarashi, whose delicate, wispy illustrations are brought to the screen with incredible fidelity. The story centers around a young woman named Ruka, who encounters a pair of siblings who were raised by dugongs. This kicks off an adventure into the sea, the stars, and even deep into the mind. The last 10 minutes are a 2001, A Space Odyssey-esque trip. The film oozes atmosphere, with a soundtrack by frequent Studio Ghibli collaborator Joe Hisaishi providing a subtle yet riveting musical undercurrent. But it's not just style. Ruka's struggles to understand and be understood by those around her will strike a chord with anyone who remembers the pain of adolescence. So that's 13 anime to watch on Netflix. I hope you like this video. Please leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. See you in another video. Bye.